Sexual harassment videos, those are hilarious. I mean, all the ones they were, I mean, they're just so over the top. It's just, I'm about 5 years old and maturity level, so I'm just sitting there the whole time. Why is employee training important? Your company would have failed your control test, by the way.
Yeah.
So we would go through and say, employee training is important, for certain aspects. Sexual harassment training, if the company's not giving sexual harassment training, and then it happens, there's a lawsuit, that could be a serious financial change to that company's financial statements. So you go and they would actually send someone like me to go attend trainings and make sure that they were current and what the content of them was. So those are some examples of control testing. And then we talk about substantive testing. So we do a bank confirmation. So I bet ExxonMobil probably has well over 3,000 bank accounts. How do you know how much money is in the bank? ExxonMobil says we have $15 billion in cash. How do you know? And they say we've got, $1 billion in this bank. What would be a quick way?
Go online and check the bank accounts.
Yeah, well, they won't give us their bank login information. But we just send a standard form to the bank and says, at 12/31, how much does ExxonMobil have in their bank account? And we get all those back. We say, yep, it's all there. The bank's, pretty trustworthy. They're not. Why would they lie about how much money ExxonMobil had? So that's a quick one. Physical inventories. Those are the best. You go and you have to go to the client site, whatever they do, and on a sample basis, you start counting things. And so it sounds pretty terrible. There can be some decent ones, like in Kentucky, somewhere in nowhere, Kentucky, Glasgow, Kentucky, there's a bunch of mining operations. And we have a client that sells those giant Caterpillar trucks, like the ones where like the tire would barely fit in this room, you know what I'm talking about? And the big mining bulldozers and whatever. And I had to go out there and count those. And in the process of it, I talked them into letting me drive one. Those things are amazing to drive. You turn the wheel and like the whole truck turns. You're sitting there driving it and you're like, oh. I dug a hole next to my Jeep. I drove my Jeep down there. The bucket on they had like a bucket on it. I could have parked like 4 Jeeps in. So some of that stuff's fun. I didn't do this personally, but I had a coworker of mine went to a cemetery to do an inventory count. What's the inventory at a cemetery? Is it dead bodies? No, it's not tombstone. We're not talking about a tombstone. Just a cemetery, just a piece of land.
The plots?
The empty plots. So this guy, and he's a little overeager anyway. He went out there and tried to get them to like dig up some of the places they said were empty plots to make sure they were empty. Because what if they were full? It wouldn't be. What's a full plot worth? Nothing, right? But an empty plot. I mean, those things are expensive. I think. I don't know how much they cost, but I think they're pretty expensive. And so you have all kinds of weird stories people tell about inventory observations. And then you do things like search for unrecorded liabilities. This is kind of an interesting one. What's accounts payable?
It's money that's owed to you that basically will pay you.
It's close. That's the opposite. That's the accounts receivable.
Oh, so it's the money that you owe people. Right.
And have you actually paid the money yet?
No.
No. Is it some of you had like accounting classes? Yeah. In high school, really?
No.
Here.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Good. So AP. So ExxonMobil says we have $1 billion in accounts payable. Do they want that number to be high or low? Low. So how do you make sure that that number is not actually $2 billion? What would you do? Huh? Look at what? So look at how much they owe people, or? Yeah.
Go to whoever lent them the money, like in the first place, to see how much they like took out initially and how much they like paid back.
Okay, yeah, that could work. What if they're just paying, what if they're not local, what if they're not borrowing any money?
Look for like their assets and if they're like paid for. Or well, no, like we're on to other stuff. Look for maybe things that they've like done like recently or things that they still need to pay for that maybe they are easy to hide.
That's the right approach. Yeah.
Look at their liabilities.
Right, that's what we're trying to find out.
You can't
So-
look on the like accounting records.
We can, but how do we know everything's on there? That they haven't left things off? It's called the completeness assertion. It's a little bit more than we need to go into. But what we do is, we'd say, so if it's 12/31 year end, what's the nature of accounts payable? They're eventually gonna pay these things, right? At some point. So we usually wouldn't issue our audit opinion until mid-February. So we'd say, show us a listing of all your cash disbursements, payments you made out in cash from January 1st through February 15th. And we go back and say, we'd select a sample of them, because we're not going to do all of them. We can't do all of them. We only have 15 days. So we'd select a sample of them and say, okay, here's this payment. Show me the invoice for this, and see whether or not it should have been included in accounts payable. So if they received the item before 12/31, it should be in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's also something that like a new associate would do. So these are just different activities, different tasks that we do. These are some of the more simple ones. There's a lot more that we do to get to the point where we issue that opinion. How much do you think I work in January and February? Yeah, quite a bit. Because we only have, like I said, we only have 45 days in most cases for large accelerated filers to go through all a year's worth of their accounting records. So you do work a lot, but then it's offset by, you have a lot of time off in the summer, usually, depending on what time your clients are. They have like a sabbatical program that people take. So anyway, I work at KPMG. It's not really a plug or anything, KPMG, but just there's 4 big public accounting firms. We talked about KPMG and PwC. Can anybody name the other 2? Anybody heard of Deloitte and Touche? Ernst & Young?
Yeah.
Heard of Ernst & Young? Where'd you hear about Ernst & Young?
My sister worked for them last
Oh, yeah?
summer.
She like it?
She did. She got to go to Disney, I think.
Yeah, times used to be really good. It's starting to come back. When I was an intern, they sent us all to Palm Springs for a week and a half, and we stayed at the hotel. Anybody ever like Saved by the Bell?
Yeah.
It's my favorite show still. It was actually on TV when I was a kid, but anybody know the episode where Jesse's dad gets married at that resort?
Yeah.
Yeah, we stayed at that hotel, so it was awesome. They have like gondolas that go through it. I could see Kelly Kapowski just running through there. Anybody know who that guy is?